Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. The next 10 minutes are inspired by a fundraiser and some math help. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the engine. We started my boys out in the local public school. I have no problem with public school. I went to public school throughout my entire education, elementary, middle, high school, and then I went to UC Berkeley. So again, public university. I believe in the public universities. I believe in the public schools. We live in a fine area, so we start out there. There were some aspects of it though that we didn't care for. There were some specific, let's say, cultural leanings, and there were just things we didn't like. So we ended up at a private school. Now, as private schools do, they charge, right? So you pay your tuition, whatever that may be, and they always have fundraisers, which I've always found hilarious. Like they have these just ridiculous, obscene kind of themed fundraisers, and the one this last year that we went to, was themed for the 80s. So my wife and I get just ridiculous with it. So I got this big hair mullet thing, which is fine because I had a mullet when I was a kid growing up in the 80s. So I felt very comfortable with it. Business in the front, party in the back, baby. So I get this mullet, I get this ridiculous jacket and these torn jeans. I get this big chain around my neck, all of this stuff, right? And my wife goes hard. She gets these like acid washed jeans and a fanny pack and these stupid glasses. And it was great. So we get dressed up and we go to the fundraiser. And the fundraiser is this big event, right? This big brouhaha. And it's a dinner and it's a silent auction and then a real auction. And they had a DeLorean parked in that thing from Back to the Future, which I thought was great. And some dude who's actually one of the teacher's brothers who owned the DeLorean walking around. He looked like Marty McFly, looked almost identical to him. He had the orange jacket, vest, the whole thing. So we're there and we're walking around, we're seeing people. And of course there's this, 2-drink minimum. So get a couple drinks and we're meeting up with people that we know in the school. And it's fine. It's fine. And we're going through all of these motions. I mean, very crowded, and then we finally make it out to the table. And we hadn't planned on staying too long because we didn't have great babysitting at the time, but we did stay long enough. And then right before dinner was served, we just excused ourselves, and I think we picked up a pizza on the way home and hung out. We have a really good time. And we get home and eat our pizza and hang out. And I'm taken the whole time that I'm there, and then after I get home, because it's like, why did we have that event? What were we doing? And my wife, who, I'm chatting with, she's like, well, what do you mean? I mean, she grew up going to a small private school, and she said, well, I mean, private schools always need events. You always have to have, this tuition gap filled because there are problems with funding when you take into account how many scholarships private schools give out, right? It's not just the people paying the tuition. Then there are a large number of people that make the community great that just can't afford it. And private schools, especially this one, does a great job filling that gap. And I kept coming back to, but why? I get that, but why? And she finally said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, look, we pay tuition. We're willingly paying tuition. If they just increased the tuition by like $1,000, it probably wouldn't deter us from going to the school, right? And she was like, well, probably not. And I was thinking, yeah, I mean, if you told me it was X plus 1 instead of X, like, fine. I'm already paying this money. I'd pay a little bit more. And it's not like we didn't donate originally anyway before the auction. And my wife thought about it. She was like, yeah, I hadn't thought about that. And it was something that really bugged me. I don't know why. I just kind of thought, like, why? I mean, I'm not sad I was there. I had a fine time and saw our neighbors and saw some friends. And I had a gin and tonic. And then we went home and got pizza. But I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't wrap my head around it. And Amazingly, the next day, I get a text from someone, um, a student I've been helping, free of charge. I really like the kid. I know him personally, and I was very excited when he got old enough to come to the classes because, hey, you're a junior now. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. I've been waiting a long time to help you. And it's go time, baby. He's been coming. He was coming, he was coming, he was coming. And his parents initially were very, very uneasy, excuse me, about allowing me to help him free of charge. They weren't comfortable with it, but I insisted. And he'd gone through some prep and taken the test, and he wanted to take it again. And the mom said, hey, look, you were incredibly generous initially. Thank you. But we have to pay you now. We have to pay you. And look, I've been on both sides of this. I've been on the side where you're receiving something and you don't feel good about it. My dear friend Dave gave me these wrestling mats. I think they were worth like $1,400 when he moved, and my boys love them. And I was like, I just don't feel good about this. I've been on the giving end, where I really feel strongly about helping someone. But it was the auction that I had gone to, the fundraiser, and the help that I knew this kid needed with math. Because he's a bright student, fine, but he just struggled with math. So I wanted to help him with his math in particular for this next test. And I realized that the auction has very little to do with money. Okay, now that seems absurd because the entire point of the auction, the stated point is, hey, let's fundraise, let's get this money, let's fill this tuition gap, let's fill this financial gap, and let's make it happen. But again, they could do that a lot of different ways. Why the auction? And it turns out, in my mind, that it's the same reason that I wanted to help this kid. Because look, you could make my tuition at the school a little bit better. Right? Excuse me, a little bit higher. A little bit higher. Add $1,000. Fine. Pay $1,000. I'm not happy about it, but I understand it's what needs to happen, and I pay it, and I go on my merry way. The problem with this, the biggest problem, is that it robs me of an opportunity to be greater than myself. And that's what the auction is. If you just charge everybody $1,000 more, people will meet the bare minimum. But what I've found is people, by and large, want an opportunity to do more. They want an opportunity to do better. They want an opportunity to support those around them. They don't just want to pay the bare minimum tuition and go on with their day. And I realized this because the kid I was helping was like, look, I don't just want to help people that are paying me. Those closest and near and dear to me, I want to help them because it gives me an opportunity to be greater than just somebody who does tutoring and education just for pay. That's my only motivation. I only work just to make money, and I'm only paying the bare minimum tuition at this school just because that's what I do. I need more than that. I need more than that. I want more than that from my life. I want to be somebody who gives more. I want to have the opportunity to be greater than the bare minimum. And that's what the student was to me. That's what I finally realized. He's not just another student. He's my opportunity to be better in the world. He's my opportunity to give more in the world. Just like the auction is people's opportunity to give more to this school that they so dearly love. I told that to his mom, who had contacted me. And I'm very thankful that she understood. And she didn't say a lot about it. She just expressed enormous appreciation, and I'm so thankful she did because I'm appreciative. But you have to remember, giving to people, helping people, supporting people, it may lead to the greatest joy in your lifetime. And almost anyone who's ever done community service or something similar knows this. But you have to remember that when dealing with individuals. It's a delicate situation. You don't want to feel like you're taking advantage of someone. You don't want them to feel like you're taking advantage of them. You don't want any miscommunication, but we still need a way to give to each other. We still need a way to become greater than our bare minimum selves. And although it may be a tricky situation, although it may be difficult to figure out, you should try to navigate those waters. You should try to figure out a way to allow people to be greater with you. Because hopefully they'll figure out a way for you to be greater with them. I'm Matt Todd, and this is the engine that drives me. Go out and crush it.